All right, and welcome to the Fireside Nets post-game reaction to that wonderful Brooklyn Nets loss, 124-118. The Milwaukee Bucks get the victory tonight. This is the second game in a row that the Bucks have beat the Nets. This is our third straight loss, Nick. Kevin Durant, 32 points. Kyrie Irving, 38 points. Nobody else for the Nets scored more than 12 tonight. Joe Harris was that guy with 12 points. And a lot of the same for the Bucks in their game one victory, and then tonight 36 for Giannis, 12 total rebounds for him. Middleton had 23. He shot 50% from the field. Holiday, 23 points tonight, 10 assists, 4 of 6 from 3, 8 of 13 from the field. And I got to shout out Dante DiVincenzo, only 10 points, 15 rebounds, Nick. 15 rebounds for Dante DiVincenzo, the Villanova product. I mean, you were texting me in that fourth quarter. What's your quick reaction, some takeaways that you took from that Nets loss?
Well, first of all, this live stream is sponsored by Slate Chocolate Milk. Second of all, there was one play that decided this game, and that was Kevin Durant not making the extra pass to Joe Harris for three. Kevin Durant had ran up the court, a couple minutes left in the game. I believe we were down 6. He hucked up a three with DiVincenzo in his face. He missed it. He got the ball back, and he shot it again with DiVincenzo running out at him and Chris Middleton coming out at him at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe Harris was wide open across court. So
here's what I saw. That was the play that decided the game, because Kevin Durant's the best player on the team. He's going to shoot
So why don't you give it to the hot hand? Joe Harris had just hit the last 3 in the corner to cut the game even closer.
Sure. All right, fine.
Here's what I saw in the last 6 minutes of the game. I saw a well-disciplined, well-coached, selfless ball-distributing offense beat a team of superstars hucking up shots. That's what I saw. I saw Giannis drawing a double and having DiVincenzo cut under the hoop backdoor to get an easy 2. I saw Middleton weaving. I saw people sneaking behind our defense. I saw every Milwaukee Buck crash the boards. Mm-hmm. I saw Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton poking the ball out of Durant's hands, out of Kyrie's hands. And then you have us who are not hustling for rebounds, who are not boxing out. At one point, Kyrie and KD both watched as DiVincenzo sailed through the air and tipped the ball back out to everybody with about a minute left. So a lot of things happened in this game that cost us the game, but most importantly was they were a more polished, efficient offense. We had really at the end no game plan other than hopefully Kyrie or KD hits a 3. And secondly, well, not secondly, I've made many points here, so this might be like eighthly. Why did we keep Mike James, Jeff Green on past the point where we started to blow the game? I understand giving the starters a rest. I understand having that second unit come in to relieve the team, but it got to a point where it really started to go downhill. And even after timeout, we still kept those guys in the court.
Okay, so I'll
and don't even get me started with rebounding.
Let's talk about your Mike James point. Mike James actually had a really efficient game. 10 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point land. Outside of KD and Kyrie, this Nets offense was very stale tonight. The ball didn't move. Kevin Durant took 22 shots. He had 32. Kyrie Irving took 25. But there was not a lot of shot creation. And obviously, that's been missing without James Harden. When James Harden is on the court for the Nets, he's able to get guys like Shamet, guys like Bruce Brown, Nick Claxton, wide open looks. Unfortunately, that's just not Kyrie Irving's game. So the offense was stale tonight. Joe Harris only had 10 shots, 8 3-point looks. Jeff Green only shot the ball 5 times. Blake Griffin, no one took shots tonight. It was really strange. And so that's one thing. The small ball thing, Nash decided to go with a small ball lineup in the fourth. It was Jeff Green, KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris, and Bruce Brown at one point. Bruce Brown and Mike James switched back and forth, but that was when Milwaukee went on their run. And you heard Sarah Kustoch talking about it on the Yes channel. Basically, the Bucks had straight line drives to the hoop every single play for like 3 minutes. It was Giannis to the rim, bucket, Middleton, layup, Kyrie was picked on a lot on defense tonight. I also want to point that out. Drew Holiday went to town on him.
Holiday just bodied KD under the hoop, and KD just flew back.
Yeah, I saw that. That was in the fourth. Just a tough outing, and that lineup, that small ball lineup, might work. It's not going to work against a team that's centered around Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jeff Green can't cover him. I'm sorry. No, I mean KD, Nick Claxton, DeAndre Jordan a little bit. Blake Griffin. Those are the four. Blake Griffin actually did a pretty good job on him. I want to reference Edwin's question here. Do the Nets need to improve their offense options? They just need James Harden back. That's what they need in order to kind of jumpstart when they're struggling and the offense is stale. Harden is the guy who can kind of light that fuse. He's the. I think Alec. I forgot who it was, but someone tweeted, "Hey, it would be great if we had a playmaker on this team who can create for everybody." You saw it a little bit with Mike James. And to your first point about keeping Mike James in too long, he missed that one shot. That was, I mean, you're really focused on the KD missed threes, in which I think he should have took, and you're focused on that Mike James sequence.
And I'm talking about spreading the floor, though. When you put Joe Harris back in earlier, you put Landry Shamet back in for rotation, you spread the floor and you have more shooters. Mike James is short. It's tough for him to get off a shot. He hit that 1-6 fadeaway three with Brooke Lopez in his face, so that was sweet. But besides that, he made some great passes. I just wanted to spread the floor more, especially when we don't have playmakers on the team. You need to find skip passes. You need to find the open guy. You need to hit someone in the corner for a three. So it's a different style of play. And also play on just the question before of our struggling offense. I don't necessarily think that it was our team. Honestly, there was a play where Kyrie made a bad pass or dished it to someone, or dished it to Durant, turned it over, and Nash looked visibly frustrated, as if Nash had called a play, or as if Nash had drawn up something to be done, and Kyrie and KD ignored it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and get into politics and say that's not the right move, because they're the best two guys on the court. They kept us in the game most of the entire time, but it got to a point where the Bucks had clearly drawn up some sort of strategy where everyone was rotating, everyone was moving without the ball, they were crashing the boards, and then it looked like the Nets did not have a game plan whatsoever. So it looked like Nash had drawn something up, and then it went blatantly ignored.
So you bring up Kyrie Irving. I mean, it's funny. Like, he had 38 points tonight. If I didn't watch the game, I would think, oh, wow, he was on fire tonight. He took 25 shots. He hit 14 of them, so his shooting percentage was still pretty good. But it's a lot of my frustration with Kyrie is his decision-making on offense. He's looking to score on two or three guys instead of pass the ball to his teammate. And while he makes some of the most difficult shots I've ever seen an NBA player make, I want to just put that out there. This is not a knock on Kyrie. It's just sort of the way that Kyrie dominates the ball and ends up shooting. A lot of the times he has the rock in his hands. I think it kind of kills momentum on offense, and it doesn't motivate guys on defense. And when he misses those shots, who on the Nets wants to hustle back after Kyrie walks into a straight-on three-pointer and just bricks it? I get very frustrated with his decision-making, Nick. What do you think of that?
I think it's decision-making. I think he tries too hard to put the team on his back when he needs to depend on his guys more, and that goes along with what I was saying about KD not hitting Joe Harris. Was KD the best guy on the court by far tonight? Absolutely.
Okay.
But Joe Harris was wide open, and that goes with Kyrie and KD both not distributing the ball. I'm not just going to say Kyrie over KD. I'm not going to say it's Kyrie more so than KD. KD at times today too. He is. I mean. No, to me,
I disagree with you. I disagree with you because Kevin Durant, there's not a bad shot on the court that KD can take, Nick. I mean, maybe Joe Harris was more wide open than he was, but a guy.
What do you mean? It wasn't even a question. Durant was double teamed.
Sure, and that was one play.
With Harris's guy.
All right, Nick, but this is a guy who hits contested shots night in, night out with hands in his face. He doesn't feel pressure on defense, and that's why I'm okay with Durant missing a three, or we're okay with him missing a mid-range because we know more times than not he's going to make that shot. Kyrie. And also, by the way, you don't see guys visibly flustered after a KD miss that you kind of, and as a fan, you nod your head and say, that's who I want taking the shot. Kyrie has a lot of moments more like the Joe Harris play with KD. He has like 5 to 7 of those moments a game.
I agree. Kyrie pulls up from like 4 feet beyond the arc when we just need a quick bucket, and you're like, there's 24 seconds left in the shot clock.
And when the Nets started to play really good, there was a sequence when Mike James came in the second quarter. And everybody who's listening, please comment. Let me know if you guys remember this sequence. He comes in, drives the lane, immediately corner three for Jeff Green. Good, book it. Very next play, same thing, opposite corner, Blake Griffin, three, book it. You see the pattern here? Next play, Shamet in the corner, misses the three, but wide open. The very next play. So that's 3 plays in a row where Mike James has passed the ball. He then gets it.
I think that was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. He then gets it. He sidesteps Brook Lopez and hits a straight on 3. I love that. That was 3 plays in a row. He passed it to wide open guys. 1 play, he takes a shot. Kyrie Irving, let's go back. Hits a ridiculous layup. Puts the Nets within 5. Next sequence, comes down, misses a tough 3. Next sequence, comes down, misses a tough 2. It's never like, and again, he does defer to KD. That's the only guy he defers to. If you ever notice that. When Kyrie's off, he'll be like, all right, KD, you give it a go. It's not like, hey, let's run Joe off an off-ball screen. I mean, they were trying to get the ball to Bruce Brown late. Kyrie had a very errant pass to Bruce Brown, and it was a
terrible alley-oop pass.
It was a bad pass.
Well, that's the thing, right? That goes back to my point of we played a sound strategic offense tonight, and all we tried to do was isolate our superstars. And it gets to a point where when you're going to double our guys and we're just going to keep dishing it back and forth between Kyrie and KD with no one else in the mix, it's not efficient. We're not going to get a good shot off. We're going to get a double team or a fadeaway every single time. We're going to have to try to draw a foul, or we're going to hope at the last second to bail them out. They look up, finally see Shamet or Joe Harris or Jeff Green in the corner and make a pass for 3. That was really the only option. We weren't getting any rebounds. I mean, we haven't jumped at the rebound situation. We got out rebounded 55 to 39.
Yeah.
Offensive rebounds 15 to 6. Like you said, DiVincenzo, who's probably the 8th out of 10 biggest guy on the court, was getting the most rebounds in the fourth quarter. So that to me, and I turned to my roommate while we were watching the game and said, is this going to be a problem come playoff time? We are literally like the Bucks are someone we could see in a tough matchup.
I'll tell you this. Yeah.
They just look tiny.
I'll tell you this, and Edwin also referenced the rebound chasing. You saw that improve a little bit when Bruce Brown came in. Bruce Brown had 5 rebounds in 12 minutes of action.
Oh, he's great, man. He's a ball magnet.
He's great. James Harden is going to fix a lot with this offense. He's not going to help you on defense. He's not going to help you in regards to, I guess, group team rebounding. Yeah, Harden will get 8 to 10 rebounds a game. He's a triple-double guy too, but who's gonna match that effort at DiVincenzo? Who's gonna block out Brook Lopez? Lopez had friggin' he only had 2 rebounds. Middleton had 7 rebounds. Holiday had 8 rebounds. Their guards killed us on the boards.
Let's also give a little bit of credit where credit's due to, like, the Bucks couldn't miss in that last 6-minute sequence, and there was one point where they couldn't miss so unbelievably that Middleton tried to alley-oop it to Giannis, and he's alley-oop swooshed.
What did you think of Nash not calling a timeout in that fourth quarter when the Bucks were on a 16-2 run? I mean, it's very easy for people on Twitter. They have hindsight and they go, "Oh, he should have called a timeout." I'm with them. I get it, but that was Biseglia's point. He texted me, and when a team goes on a run, you're supposed to call a timeout before it gets that bad. But you didn't think that was a big deal? I see you shaking your head.
It didn't bother me, honestly. I thought there could have been change. If he was calling a timeout to make a lineup change, I would have appreciated that. But just calling kind of like a momentum stopping timeout, I understand why it's necessary sometimes. That in that moment didn't bother me. It was more so if you're going to call a timeout or if you're going to do something, make some sort of change either in your offense or in the game plan. And I don't know. I sometimes have a hard time faulting Nash because, like I said, I can't verify this. Maybe we'll find out later on. It felt like Nash was trying to change things up, was trying to get the offense to move a certain way, and it seemed like our superstars, Kyrie and KD, again, not going to give them shit. They've done this before and won us games, dozens of times before. It seemed like they went a little bit against the game plan and a little bit against what Nash had in mind and started shooting shots.
Yeah, I think that's a big assumption that you're making. I think you're making that assumption.
I'm not saying they stood up and said, like, we're not going to do. I'm not saying they stood up. There was 2 or 3 plays where it looked like Nash was like, all right, start moving the ball around, and one of them just pulled up for 3.
What bothered me about the fourth quarter collapse is the Nets just lost their composure. It was, Middleton got his hand in there a few times. He stole the ball. KD had some turnovers. Kyrie had some bad turnovers. And they just looked shook. They looked rattled for a good amount of time when it was that lineup with Jeff Green. Now, for some reason, I don't know why this is, and this is something you and I spoke about a few weeks ago. I think we both feel better. If you're going to go the small ball route, you're not going to have Jordan or Claxton in there. By the way, Claxton, 0 points, 2 rebounds in his return, 5 minutes. They're going to work on getting him back in the lineup. But we would rather Blake Griffin at this point in that final 5 to 6 minutes than Jeff Green, right? Are we in agreement there?
Yeah, I agree.
He gives you more on defense. The drop off on offense isn't that bad. I think Green's more versatile than Griffin, but Griffin's a smart player. Griffin can pass the ball. He can shoot the 3. He can play down low. So it was funny when they went on that run, they put it to 11 with like 5 minutes left. Then Nash put in Blake Griffin. And it was kind of like, it was a little too late at that point. So that frustrated me. Landry,
imagine how bad this game would have been if Giannis was hitting his shots in the second half. If he was hitting at least one of his threes.
Yeah, Giannis had around 30 points in the first half, and he ended up with only 36. So the only other thing I'll say about the Nets, Mike James, good minutes. Bruce Brown, we talked about. Landry Shamet is in a cold streak right now. Not shooting the ball great. He was 1 of 8 today, 1 of 6 from 3. I don't think he shot the ball well last game. He's got to pick it up.
Well, based on this cycle he's going on, he started the season really cold, then got super hot in the second part of the season, is getting super cold in the third, which means playoff time, he'll be super hot.
We saw no minutes for Alize Johnson, no minutes for Tyler Johnson or TLC today. That makes sense. I mean, we played 10 guys. And we're trying to work in Bruce Brown. So I think TLC is probably not going to play much of the rest of the season. I don't think it's the last we see of Tyler Johnson. I think he'll be worked back into the rotation. But right now, I mean, Mike James.
It's a bad matchup for Alize Johnson too.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to bring him up. Mike James is really making a case to kind of get more playing time down the stretch. I don't think he'll be in the rotation if Harden comes back come playoff time. I just don't know how much James would see the court, but he's really impressed me in his limited time as a Net.
Yeah, I like him. He made that pass you talked about before, the first one he made to Blake Griffin. The one to Shamet was like a drop off, and Shamet had to readjust a second. But that pass to Blake Griffin, it looked like he wasn't even looking. Yep. He felt exactly where he was, and it landed like perfect chest pass, and he hit the 3. That was unbelievable.
Blake didn't have a gaudy stat line, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, but he was a plus 13. That was the best plus minus by any Net. Nick, we're going to finish this live stream with this question. I posted it on Twitter. I'm actually going to check what the votes are right now. But after a loss like this, the way that Kyrie has not been playing poorly, but I just don't think he's been playing winning basketball. The defensive struggles, the rebounding struggles, they struggle to contain Giannis. And the Sixers and the Bucks, the 2 teams that we're trying to vie with for that top number 1 seed, they've both beat us in the season series this year. So should Nets fans be panicking right now? Yes, no, or everything's going to be fine when James Harden comes back?
I wouldn't say it's time to panic yet because James Harden's not playing, but I don't think everything's going to be fine. We are going to have to outweigh our size and our inability to rebound with the most efficient offense in the league. When Harden's back, that changes everything. Do I think this game would have been entirely different with Harden on the court? 100%. Do I think Harden would have actually found every single open man, drawn doubles, hit Harris on that last play for the 3? Absolutely no question about it. With that said, Sixers are bigger than us. The Bucks are bigger than us. I mean, even the Hornets are bigger than us. So we need to think long-term about a strategy with our offense. I don't know. Is it, like I said, is it literally going to be our offense better be so effing good that we can afford to get out-rebounded? Or is there something we can do strategically, rotationally, get DeAndre more minutes in the fourth quarter, even though I don't think that excites Nets players exactly. So No, I wouldn't worry yet, but I don't think we're in the clear even if Harden comes back.
What frightens me is I don't know when Harden's return is. Edwin says these games have been serving for them as experience, knowing them better. The Nets need to fill those gaps. It's a good point. I think when you play Claxton more minutes, when you ramp him up, he's going to help on the defensive end. I think you can play him with Blake Griffin or with a Jeff Green. You move KD to the 3 or 4. I like lineups like that. I think that Nets fans should be a little bit concerned about Harden when he's returning. We don't know if it's going to be the first round of the playoffs. We think it's going to be the playoffs. We don't know. We have nothing. So we just – it's not panic time for this team yet, but I think losing each season series to the Sixers and the Bucks, I think it's very concerning, man. And we had KD for a lot of those games. We had Kyrie for a lot of those games. Actually, not KD for the Sixers, but you don't want to go into the playoffs knowing that, your opponent, the guys that you're competing for a championship with have beat you down in the regular season. Not that it matters a ton, but it's the way they beat us, man. It's the way Embiid dominated us when he played us. It's the way that Antetokounmpo scored, what is that, like 80-something points in 2 games, close to 90 points?
Here's the scary part about Giannis, too. We thought, hey, it's Giannis. He's not clutch whatsoever. We could foul him and he'll always miss one. He hit 2 shots, man. His nerves are calming down. He's getting more experience. He's getting older. He's effed up 2 years in a row in the playoffs and he's tired of losing. Like, I don't think it's going to be the point where Giannis gets to the playoffs and he is all of a sudden like completely isolated, packing down the paint, causing him to huck up threes and drive and go crazy. I think he is a lot more contained. I think he is much more level-headed, and the addition of Drew Holiday makes that Bucks team incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, Holiday is great. When he's hitting his shots and he's defending the way he is, I mean,
even a player like PJ Tucker. Tucker hit a corner 3 today, and I just turned and I was like, he has that. He has that shot. He had that on the Rockets. He had that on the Suns. PJ Tucker is a good,
Well, they have 2 completely different centers. You have PJ Tucker, your undersized stretch the floor 5. You have Brook Lopez, your post up, who can also occasionally stretch the floor 5. So they have a very dynamic front court. You add Bobby Portis to the mix, Nick. You know what Bobby Portis is shooting from 3-point land? 46%.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and he barely played tonight because they didn't need him. So I'm not going to panic yet. I am concerned. I'm hitting the concerned button because I do think the Bucks are a lot better than we've accounted for, and we know how good the Sixers are. So this loss also puts us a little bit closer to the Bucks in the standings. So now they go to 41. Let's see. I think they're going to be 41-24, and we are 43-23. So the Bucks can catch us. But that's everything I have on this game, Nick. Do you have any final thoughts before we end this?
No, but I wanted to start doing what like Twitch people do and like YouTubers do, where it's like smash that subscribe button. Like, destroy that button. You know what I mean? When they get like really into it and they start pointing. I don't think there's one though where we are.
I mean, if you want to subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, Fireside Nets Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's wherever Nick's pointing, there's not a link. But if you search Fireside Nets in YouTube, that's
Hold
where.
on, just pull this drop-down menu down.
And shout out to Edwin. Edwin, thank you for listening. Much success to you as well. Peace to you and peace to everybody. This was a rough game. The Nets did not come out victorious, but in the course of a 72-game season, I think is what they're playing, there's a lot of learning experiences for a team that's just sort of playing together for the first year. And even this late in the season, the Nets are going to still go through growing pains. Nets fans need to remember that none of this matters until we get to the playoffs and James Harden comes back. He stops wearing those glorious fancy outfits that he wears. He's got so much gosh darn swagger. He's going to have that Nets jersey again. He's going to play with KD and Kyrie, and we are going to see the big 3 that we have wanted to see all year. That's my sign off. Nick, I'm going to let you finish it up.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We're sponsored by Manscaped. Make sure you Manscaped.
Yeah, later.